Well, hello, it's Jason, your friendly fragrance reviewer and perfumer. Something looks different over here, and it doesn't look like perfume reviews. That's because it's not chemistry. Okay, so I promised you a video on Hedione, and we're going to talk about the chemical Hedione, which is used in perfumery. This will be the one and only video on my channel about a aroma chemical or compound. So this is just to give you an idea of some of the videos I'd like to do that are going to be on my own Signor Perfumes channel, which there is a link in the right hand corner, top corner of the YouTube channel page. And so in the future, videos like this will be on the Signor Perfumes channel. So this is will be the last time you'll see a video like this on Fragrance Now. But since I promised this before, we are going to do it. So, you know what? Whenever working with chemicals like this, it's probably a good idea to change out of a really good shirt. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now. I'm more appropriately dressed. However, you might also consider something else. Like a lab coat, like this. Wait a minute, that's not a lab coat, that's a bathrobe. I guess I'll just stick with a shirt. So what we have here, over here, see this nice box? If I can zoom in, you can see this is one box of many fragrance materials that I have. And over here, the largest jar that I have, yeah, I believe that's the Hedione. There it is. This one happens to be from Perfumer's World. Trying to get it to focus. So we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more first. Let's zoom out a little so you can see. First, I'd like to check how much of this I have left. So we're going to measure this out in a graduated cylinder. Yeah, spilling stuff is probably not a good idea. So the other thing that's probably a good idea, might want to use gloves. Safety is always first when you're doing this kind of thing. Goggles or glasses, of course. Now I gotta say, I don't always use gloves, but it's a good idea. But I can't tell you how many times I've had this shit all over my hands. Anyway, most of the stuff is fairly harmless. And I avoid buying anything that is restricted by regulations to be used in perfumery. So, here we are, purple gloves, and we are going to measure. Pour in carefully. Of course, you could use a funnel, but it's really not necessary because I've got a nice straight aim. Every drop counts. And what do we got here? Of course, you know, this is fairly accurate, but not 100% accurate. It looks like I have about 23 milliliters of Hedione, which is almost an ounce. So if we zoom in here, you can see Hedione is either a clear or clear to pale yellow liquid. And it's kind of thick, but not too thick. It has a kind of a little bit of a slimy texture, like a lot of this stuff does. So I just wanted you to see it, and we're going to put it back into the metal can now. So for that, I really don't need a funnel either, because I got a nice wide mouth to pour into. But I certainly would like to get everything back in there, because every drop is important. Have I ever spilled any of this stuff like this? Never. Just kidding. Spills happen. It's just the case. There's ways to avoid it, and mostly to be very organized and do one thing at a time. But yeah, you know. By the way, I guess I have some money sitting here. It's not much, but you know, speaking of money, every art costs something, and so does this. Anyway, so I had a beaker I was going to pour into, but not really necessary. But I wanted to show you this, and the aroma. Some things it's okay to smell straight because they're not too strong, but in general, if you don't know what something smells like, you kind of want to use your finger to brush whatever's coming out toward your nose, because you don't want to smell. You don't want to get something too strong in your nose and in your brain. So, but it's very light. It's very light. Some people cannot smell this. It is a very light floral jasmine-y green kind of odor, and we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk more about what it is, what it's used for. Very, very useful in perfumery. So let me get this cleaned up and I will be back. Hedione, folks. Hedione. Okay, I'm back. Is the Hedione still there? There it is. So there's the Hedione. We'll just take a look at the can while we talk about it. Now, this one happens to be from Perfumer's World, which is over in Thailand, which is where I get a lot of my supplies. It's also where I got my training in perfumery and continue to, and they've been excellent for many reasons. Okay, so let's take a look at what this really is about. Hedione is called, actually, methyl dihydrojasmonate, and the formula is C13H22O3. Specific gravity is 0.998. Its CAS number is 24851-98-7, and FEMA number is 3408. Now, those two numbers identify the fragrance based on everything's categorized, and these are two major categorization systems, and we can talk about that at the end of this video. But like I said, it's a colorless to pale yellow, and it is an ester. So let's just briefly talk about what an ester is. An ester is a chemical compound. It's derived from either organic or inorganic acid, and at least one hydroxyl group replaced by an alkyl. Has a pleasant fruity odor. Esters tend to have a pleasant fruity odor, and that's why they are used in perfumery. So how are they made? Usually esters are made by treating carboxylic acid with alcohol along with a dehydrating agent such as sulfuric acid. And where are they found? They are found in multiple places, but you will find them in essential oils and, yes, in pheromones. And so there's some different types of esters. Phosphoesters are found in DNA. Nitrate esters are found in nitroglycerin, explosives, and polyesters are found in plastics. So they have a lot of uses, and including perfumery, of course. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm going through my notes here, and so how much is used in a perfume compound? Let's talk about all that. 0.35 to 35%. Now these are statistics given by Perfumers World, and I really like Perfumers World because they've done a lot of this research and it's readily available on their website, and it's just so useful when you're making perfume and cologne. So 0.35 to 35%, and you might say, wow, that's a lot, but 35%, yet Eau Sauvage apparently has almost that. So on average, 3.5% is used. How long does it last? 72 hours on a smelling strip. 72 hours on a smelling strip. Performance in a alcoholic perfume, in alcoholic perfumery, on a scale of 0 to 9, where 9 is the best, 9 according to Perfumers World. And now let's talk about relative odor impact. Now Perfumers World, which I go by, and I really like this, is they rate the strength, odor strength of every compound or chemical based on a scale where 100 is average. And the 100 spot is occupied by none other than linalool. Linalool. I'll put that name right up here. And I had mentioned that in a video quite a while back, but linalool is found in nature. It's very common, and it has a kind of a mild odor, but it's like, I call it the middle C, like the middle C on the piano. It's like the middle C of perfumery, if you know music. Anyway, so it just happens to be that when we're talking about Hedione, the relative odor impact is also 100. However, Hedione is, I believe it's stronger, it lasts longer on a smelling strip than linalool does. I believe linalool only lasts 10 hours. So, what is it used for? It's used to fill out floral perfumes and fragrances, to give them body, and in my experience, it has a pheromone-like quality, kind of like a hair note or skin note, and it really gives this kind of personal touch to fragrances. It, to me, makes a fragrance smell or feel like that it's coming from that person. It's not something they've applied. It really helps to blend it with your own body chemistry, and it has that feel to it. I believe somewhere there was a description that I read that Hedione gives perfume an odor like perfumed air. So some people have difficulty smelling this. It is very light. However, when it's included in a composition, it can do really cool stuff. It starts to stand out, and you can use too much of it. You can use too much, and it can really make something go off and kind of just smell, pungent. Anyway, it can also be used as a fixative to add some body and depth and longevity to a fragrance. And I think that's all the notes that I have on Hedione.